Okay, welcome to another episode of Bridging the Gap Between Black Men and Black Women. Tonight's title is Marriage is Successful in Today's Chaos. We have some guests here, and I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves. Um, so, if you would, please.
My name is Coretta Hawthorne,
And I'm Dante.
and we've been married for 10 years in November.
Okay, and a
Okay.
couple below.
I'm Jasmine.
I'm Ramon. We've been married for 17 years, together 22, aka Grandpa.
Aw.
AKA. Where
Wait, how
you
long?
get that?
How long are you guys married?
17 years.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank
Congratulations
you.
to the other couple too. 10 years. That's a long time. That's a lot of strength in a marriage. My name is Magic. I'm from California. I am a widow of 5 years. I was married for a little over 20 years, together with my husband for about 25 years.
Mm,
And I'm
that's
your
good.
host, Lamont Williams. Those of you out here, please hit the like button.
You're breaking up, Ramon.
Your audio is messing up.
Okay. What about now?
There
There
you
you
go.
go.
So we need to get those likes up and everything so we can keep this podcast going. So let's get this thing rolling, my people, tonight. Because me and Magic are the only ones on here that's not married. I was married one time for 17 years. Unfortunately, that marriage ended in a divorce. But let's talk about success. Well, we know there's a lot of turmoil in the world. A lot of people are separating for various reasons. And the reason I asked you guests to come on tonight, particularly, I didn't know about your situation. Ramon revealed it to me, but Ramon's situation and his wife is a testimony within itself because being as young as you are and having the success and the things that you've shared with the audience on this podcast is amazing. So if you would, share with us, Ramon, in your own words, you and your wife, how did you overcome all the obstacles that life has threw your way, and how do you keep this bond and this foundation that you created?
Um, I was 19. My wife was 16 years old when we got together, so we were babies. And we, when we first got together, we were truly in love with each other. We were best friends,
So
and
you got
then
all
we had so marriage and love. You guys will hear me say this often, is seasonal. And so we had when did we move out? Was
2018.
I'm saying, how old were we? 20? Yeah, so at 18 and 21, we moved into our own place with our first child. And it wasn't as ideal as she would have wanted it because at that point in time, I had got hurt at Republic Service. I wasn't working, so I was a stay-at-home dad. She was working, and when she would come home, me being at home with a kid all day, I would want to go out and hit the streets, and um, it wasn't as ideal. When you're young, you're not you're really not, you don't know really what you want, and so over the years we fell in and out of love um, more than once. But one thing about it is we came home every night. In 22 years, there's not one night that Jasmine hasn't came home or I haven't came home. Uh, Rarely do we sleep in another room or go downstairs or whatever. But communication, listening, hearing, and being um, sensitive to each other's needs, wants, and respect is what I think loyalty. Yes, yeah,
so,
and
so so you would say that's the cohesiveness in your success.
Yes, loyalty and well, loyalty is her number one thing. For me, the man above, God is my my foundation, and so that's my compass. Well, yeah,
What'd she
uh,
say?
she said he's our foundation,
That's right.
but that's always been my compass. So even when it gets crazy and rocky, like I said a few shows ago, I took a vow before God, and I took that vow serious. And so I'm gonna always fight, and I'm gonna always be all I can be until I can't be that anymore.
You know, it's kind of funny that you say that because oftentimes I hear people talk about their marriages, but I don't hear people advocate for fighting for their marriage. You know, it's like I'm in love, I'm in a relationship, but I never hear anyone say, I will fight for my marriage. You know, that's commendable, man. I like that.
Yeah. Coretta and Dante, they're really good friends of ours, and they didn't seen it. You know, prayer is very important. I didn't have Coretta pray. You know, she didn't pray, and she, you know, we're getting ready to be in their wedding or renew their vows. So it's a testament of having like-minded couples that you can vent to. You know, I could pick up the phone and call Dante. I could pick up the phone and call my sister Coretta and be like, "Hey, this girl tripping." So, like I said a few shows ago,
she don't be tripping. What it is, let me tell you, what it is Jasmine is very passionate about her husband. She don't care if it's a dog, a man on the moon, nobody. She don't like disrespect to her husband, and
That's
she
right.
feels like he allows certain things to happen that just wouldn't get by when it comes to her. So that's, instead of him saying she be tripping, I think he should embrace that and just let her be the chihuahua she is, because she coming behind him.
Yes.
So basically, your wife has reached out to you about certain aspects, and I don't believe from the things that I've heard you say without your wife being present that you turn a blind eye to that. So is it that you just kind of listen when you want to, or is it that she had to bark a little louder to get your attention?
Both. He
It,
turns a blind eye. He hear when he want to hear, and I have to trip with him at times.
Okay.
So all three, basically all three,
Okay.
all three.
Okay.
Well, okay, come on, Mr. Ramon. I know you got a rebuttal for that.
it's not after being together for 22 years. Again, like I always say, it's seasonal. I don't think that oftentimes in marriages that, like I said a few shows ago, a woman, she tells you what she wants, but oftentimes we don't hear or cohere to what she's actually requesting from you. And so there's times in my marriage that I have to hear it several times. And then when you first hear it, it often comes off as bitching, or it comes off as nagging and complaining. But then I always say that in a marriage, there's times where you hear, and then there's times where you actually hear what your partner is saying. And so oftentimes we're just listening. But when you hear it, it's a light bulb that goes out. It goes off in your head, and you're like, okay, I gotta focus in. And then when I can see that if it starts bothering her or it's irritating her to the point to where she's getting quiet, then I know, hey, I need to.
Oh, I was just getting ready to ask you that. At what point do you realize you need to stop and listen to your wife?
Well, she carries the energy around here, and so the energy, a woman.
I shut it down. The whole house.
There it is.
The whole house was shut down.
Yeah, so it was like 2 days ago, maybe about 4 days ago, sometime last week, she was in a funk about the kids not cleaning up, and I was asleep. I woke up and I saw her like pouting around, and I'm like, I can feel that energy. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, I know I didn't do nothing. And so I asked, I was like, what's up with you? She was like, nothing, ain't nothing wrong with me. So I know her after being together for so long. So she was in the hallway and I just picked her up. I brought her in the room. I set her on the bed and I said, give it to me. Give me all of that. Like, so for us, after being together 22 years and being in counseling for the last about 2 years, we've learned how to communicate, because what you guys have to realize, we were children. We were 19 and 16 coming together. We really didn't have a compass on what respect was. We used to call it keeping it real. She had something to say, she said it. I had something to say, I said it. But what we didn't realize when we were younger, we were disrespecting one another. And so there's things that you shouldn't say. And then once something's spoken, you can't take it back. And so as we both got older, we've learned how to start, stop, and continue, and try not to say things out of anger, and how not to belittle and trip with one another.
Okay. For the other couple, I would love to hear the wife. Is it Hawthorne is the last name, Mr. and Mrs. Hawthorne? I would love to hear at what point do you get to where you want your husband to hear? What is it that you do? What is your trigger, or what is it in your actions or your energy that lets him know that it's time to listen?
Well, I call him Hawthorne. That's his last name, but I call him Hawthorne. He's like the alpha male everywhere. So
Okay.
he like, I have to literally grab him because he's 6'5", I'm 5'2". So I have to grab him and get in front of him and be like, calm down, because he's so used to making all the shots, all the calls, and it's hard for him to hear like, no, that's not gonna work, or no. But if he see me, if he see my face, then he know, like, baby, I'm saying this for the betterment of both of us. Like, don't do it. But other than that, I'm pretty laid back. I let him just run wild with it. I don't do too much.
Okay. Totally
I'm real compromising. He's
Okay.
not so much. So we kind of balance each other.
I'm compromised.
He ain't compromising. His compromise, what he does is he protective over me. Now I can't tell you that. He don't let none of my days go bad. Nothing, anything I need or want, he always got it. But so he kind of surrounded around me.
Okay.
So I appreciate that.
All right.
So it's hard to combat with something like that.
Yeah.
Somebody has feedback on their speaker. Do you have a window down in your car?
No.
Yeah,
It may be the air in the car.
Just be them being outside.
No, I think you have your phone too close to your air conditioner vent. That's what it is.
Okay, got it. That's why I was having it muted in between conversations, but I just turned it off. So.
Okay.
Well, I see the success. I'm very honored to even have both of you couples on the show. Because I think this would be a great learning experience for me to move forward in my life in any relationship that I choose to engage in. Let me ask you this question. The whys first. Being in these type of committed relationships, knowing that you have family members that struggle from day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year in their relationships, what advice do you give them as far as trying to mesh and keep this this profound bond that you've established with each other?
You go first, Coretta.
I honestly because since I got a bunch of people in my family, I have a big family. I'm number 6 out of 48 first grandkids. So my grandmother has 13 children. My grandmother and all her sisters have been married since they were younger. So I have my aunts. They have been examples too. So I tell people to try to see if their life is aligning up with what God wants for their life. After that, then we can move forward. Because I find sometimes we try to force relationships, and a lot of times it's because it's just not your alignment with what God wants for you. And I think that's what I start with. What about you?
So
What
basically, you're
about you,
saying
Jazz?
the whole synopsis of your relationship is based upon the foundation and your belief in God. Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Okay.
that's what I'm saying.
Well,
And
for
you,
me,
And it's go ahead, Jazz.
I've never had an example. My grandma isn't married. My mom isn't married. My aunties isn't married. So I don't have to talk to those, I don't have to talk about that stuff to people because I'm basically the only one married in my family.
Wow.
so
But I will
so
tell people to fight for their marriage, have faith, and build.
Your sister, man.
Who's married?
Naisha.
I don't
Baby
want to.
sister.
I don't want to get on that.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to get on that. Because, but it just depends on the situation. Like Coretta said, sometimes it's not the right fit, and you stay in something because of the wrong situation. Because you have kids, instead of being healthy co-parents, you will stay in the house and show the kids fighting. So I would say if you don't, if it's not a perfect match, just walk away. That's what I tell her in that situation.
so it seems like you've broken a generational curse on your family because
Yeah.
you come from behind and set the example for all the people that was before you to follow. That's commendable.
Yes, and it is hard as hell, but yeah, it's hard.
So grandpa, let's get to you men. The brother up top, Dante.
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
He funny, y'all, and he crazy.
So what do you have to say, brother? You're in a successful marriage. I know you have male siblings or family members that you probably see them struggle in their every day-to-day life. How do you reach out to them, man? From a man's perspective. We've heard it from the wives. Let's hear it from the men. How do you set that example for them?
How do I set an example for my male friends?
Yeah, family members, co-workers.
Oh, I lead by example. So that I'm in my marriage. I want to say I run, but I don't run my marriage. What's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah.
You need it.
No, that's not the word I'm looking for because that sounds bad.
Call it what it is.
You
I
need it.
run my marriage based off what God says. I'm gonna be honest with you. I follow His word.
No, but he talking about like
Strictly as I follow His word. That's exactly. I do what His word says in my marriage.
he like caveman, like he wants you to be barefoot and pregnant.
No,
Like Caleb
that's
said, him.
Yeah.
My husband is definitely a caveman.
Come on, now. That's not true.
So are you suggesting on live camera that your husband is barbaric?
Absolutely.
I'm not barbaric. Listen, I just feel that a man has a place and a woman has her place.
And I
That's just the way it's supposed to be. My job, I was put here on this earth to protect, provide, and all that shit for my family. And that's exactly, and I hold that near and dear to my heart. And that's what I do. That's what God put me here for. And that's what I'm going to do. Now, I'm going to do what God told me to do in my marriage. I expect my wife to do what God told her to do.
So
in her portion of the marriage. And I'm not barbaric. That's just what it is.
I promise it's like he in 1920s.
No, it's not. I'm not abusive. I don't.
No, I
like
didn't say
crazy,
that. No, I would never say that.
Right.
No, it's just his way of thinking.
even though you said what you said, we have to find the humor in it, because at the end of the day, you're still in a lasting relationship. So that accounts for something. You know, despite your humor and his behaviors at time, you know, he has to be a good man. You still love him. You're still together.
He's
So
definitely a good man. I'll never take
I
that
got
away
to
from
give
him.
that.
If I want to add something to what Hawthorne, I was telling my wife about 2 weeks ago. I said, I don't know any other couple, and I know a lot of couples, but I don't know any other couple that reminds me of what my wife and I have, because I see Hawthorne just like I do. When he gets paid, he brings home, when she says barbaric or old school, Hawthorne brings home his paycheck just like I do. And if Coretta says she wants the moon, he calling me talking about how we can get a truck to go get it.
Exactly. She's going to get. I'm going to get it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that's really what she mean when she say barbaric. He's old school. He's very he's in his masculine energy, but he also has a gentle side. He's like a big teddy bear. So I will say that about him. I know that.
Yeah, and what I mean is, like, he just want food, sex, sleep, food, sex, sleep, food, sex, sleep, sex, food, in any order.
But since he is that provider and that protector and that A-type male, you doesn't seem like you have a problem with being that.
Well, it wasn't. I didn't. I had a problem at first because I had a job, and it was like no woman in my house gonna pay bills, and I'm like, wait a minute, like it was bad in the beginning. I ain't gonna lie, we almost didn't make it the first year. And then our parents, they kind of sat down, like, because we was in love, but we was still just not going to make it.
I was just retiring from the
he was leaving from the military, and I was going to work at the front desk. I had a good paying job. I was a union shop steward, everything. And Hawthorne was like, no, when I come, you got to stop. Call the people. I'm like, I can't call in. And, like, he just, like, shut my whole situation down. Like, he's like, I'm your husband. I'm your priority. And I'm like, it's a holiday. I'm trying to get paid double time. Like,
right.
He was like, no, you don't have to pay nothing. He's like, and I cried because I didn't go to work. You know, you go off a point system with the hotel. And I'm like, so that really broke me down because it really made me have to really fully depend on him. I've never depended on another human being other than my mama when I was an infant to take care of me. And that's scary to hear a man talk about he gonna take care of you. And but I had to trust that or this relationship would have never lasted.
How much do you appreciate that now?
I do appreciate it, but it don't come with its downside. I mean, a man that pays all the bills, you have to treat him tenderly because he can easily feel underappreciated.
Right. Okay.
Man.
So that's something important.
Yeah.
It's funny you said that because that has been my complaint in all my relationships, not feeling appreciated. And I think that's something I can honestly say that a lot of men would say they don't feel appreciated in relationships, even though they do their role and the woman does their role. But you know, sometimes you fall short. But you know, kudos to both of you. You seem like, despite all adversity that you've been faced with, you still stuck together. You still encourage each other. You still love each other. You're still loyal and dedicated to each other. And I'm talking about that's a trend that needs to be set for all people to follow.
Mm-hmm. I like. Is that the same dynamic you have, Mr. Ramon, with your wife? Are you the provider, or does she also provide?
No, I never let my wife work.
Okay.
She I mean, not let. Forgive me. But she every time she didn't try to do it, or every time she didn't try or wanted to do it, she didn't came back and been like, yeah, I got to work for myself. So my wife and I own our own catering business.
Okay.
So she runs. She's the head chef. It's my name. It says grandpa, but she's the head chef. So I'm her sous chef, and I work for her. when it comes to
That's
our
so
business.
interesting that Ramon, you found two couples that have pretty much the same dynamic in their relationship as far as the belief in the man being mature enough to understand, know, and be willing to protect, provide, and still find the time to make sure that their wife is okay. That's very similar to my situation. My husband and I were together for a few years. And then once he said, now we're getting married, and like maybe a year after that, it was, okay, now you're done working. And I was like, what? I'm done what? Oh, I don't think so. And he's like, no, we're done. Take care of the kids, take care of the house, whatever you need. How are we doing? And then it was, how do you want to do this? This is what I'm offering you. How do you want to do it? I can either bring home the money and you manage the household and the bills, or I can still bring home the money and I manage everything. So it turned out, he worked, he come home, direct deposit hit, bills were paid, house was always clean, food was cooked. I didn't have a problem with conforming to my role as a wife. When you do have a leader, there's a level of comfort that is unmatched when you have a leader in your household. And it sounds like both of you wives have that, and that is a blessing that you both have men that are willing to do what it takes to make it work. And then the men also are blessed to have wives that have your back and are willing to allow you to go do what you need to do to be a provider and be a protector, because you can't just be the provider and protector without that backbone. And you guys are blessed to have women that are strong enough to see what you're doing, appreciate what you're doing, and helping you to continue to be able to do what you're doing. So I commend you on that, because there are not enough visible relationships that display that type of dynamic. I find that to be, it is very old school, but I find that to be what works most of the time in a relationship. When you allow a man, and I hate to say allow, but that is what it is in a situation. When you allow a man to be who he is, allow him to protect and provide the way that he sees fit. And when you see something go awry as his third eye or as his backbone, you redirect him, or you guide him, or you provide other resources and tools to him to let him know, hey, we veering off course. We got to get back on. And it's up to that man to be mature enough to receive that, not as disrespect, but as a way to, okay, she does have my back. She's making sure I'm okay. She's making sure we're okay at the same time, and I can still provide. So I commend you guys for that, because that's totally what I believe in. Totally. I never, when it was time for me to get married.
I'm sorry, Hathor, he can hear y'all. He just making the kids stay for plates, because I don't want him to make it. Okay.
Yeah. So I find that to be, that's a great dynamic for households to run, to work. Not everybody can do that. Sometimes you need two incomes, based on what a man is able to provide. And women sometimes have to conform to that also. But to allow both of you guys to understand one another and what that dynamic is and make it work, that's awesome. I wish both of you guys years and years of love, respect, loyalty, support, all of that. It's very commendable. I miss that in my relationship, because it feels good when that man is coming through that door and he's your everything, and you've done everything for him to make sure that he's okay. That's like an awesome feeling. That feels so good. It's unexplainable. Like that shit is good, like real good.
Like Babyface when I get home,
Go get your mama water.
You know what? I've been truly blessed. I've known Ramon for some time. I just met Ben's daughter. I met you some time ago, but just being reacclimated, just now meeting your lovely wife, Ramon, and God has put me on a path where I'm having the opportunity to meet people as successful as you. This is a learning curve for me, even at 51 years of age, because I made a lot of mistakes in my marriages. Okay. And some of the things that you said, Ramon, on the first podcast that you were invited on, has stuck with me. You know, me and Magic talk about it off the air because she's sort of like my consultant. You know, she's helping me build this thing up, her and Alonda. So I rely on them just like I have to rely on you, because I know as this podcast grow, we're gonna have to talk about relationships more and more time than often. So I'm gonna have to invite you back on. It may be times even when, you know, because you have a little bit more experience, successful experience than me in relationships. It may be a time that I may request either one of you to come on and host the show, you know,
Okay.
and create a narrative in which you choose, you know, because I can't speak for you. All I know is the things that I hear you say has touched me in a way, and it makes me want to get on that same path to follow, because at the end of the day, I think that's what most men really want. A wife that truly appreciates them, that they can love, protect, honor, and, you know, vice versa. And when you get into these pretense relationships, as you said, it just don't work. You know, you try, but it just don't work. You know, so again, I commend both of you for your success, and I pray for your continued success.
Yeah, I think, like I said a few shows ago, I know that for Coretta and my wife, they are two of the strongest women that I've met in this generation. I'm talking about headstrong. And so when we talk about a man being able to lead a woman, um, you have to be a strong woman to not allow a man to walk over you. So these women both are women who have a strong backbone, and when we're not at home or we're gone, they can run the house equally without us being there. And so I give a lot of my success to my wife, because there's a lot of things that I'm still learning, and I had to learn from being with her, going through so many seasons of how to be able to hear. Like I said, we had to go through counseling. I've had to make her mad, and so I'm reaching now after 22 years. I'm now reaching a point in my life where I'm truly able to hear her. You know, we're for a long time we kept fighting over the same things. You know what I mean? And so if we ever would have gave up on one another, we wouldn't have made it to where we are at now. But we, you know, everything that we have, we plan. So our children, we have 3. We never had a oops upside our head. And so I think when you plan and you want something, I think that's what allows it to blossom and continue to grow, versus a lot of people get into relationships on false pretenses and or have children and they really didn't want the children.
Yes.
Because the two of us planned it, then we have to see it out, because it's not something that we didn't want. You know what I mean? When we got up in it, we didn't like it, but it's something that we want. So when it's something you want, I think it's something that's you're willing to fight for.
I agree with that. Yep, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
You know,
you gotta want the relationship. If neither one of you are willing to step in the ring and fight for it, it's not gonna work.
Right. That's true. That's so true.
You know, I remember something distinctly that you said the first show that you were on about your wife, and I'm gonna bring this up because I think it was a commendable thing, and I think she needs to hear it. Ramon said to us, and as well as, and we had a lot of people on that show, because it's your deliverance that attracts people. When you said that your wife taught you how to be a man, you know, I'm talking about, you don't hear most men say things like that, you know, and it kind of caught me off guard. But then knowing you, Ramon, you can come up with some things, man, and say some things that people hear, they be like, whoa. But then when they take the time to think, they see the validity to it and they embrace it. And I commend you again for that, man, because I've never told anybody that a woman has ever done anything to me other than piss me off. When you said that, man, I'm talking about.
Lord.
I left that show that night, seriously, man. And you know, in a couple months I'll be 62, and it's like I laid in bed and I thought about the things that you said, and it touched me in a way, man, where I said, you know what? Here's a dude that's my junior that's teaching me about life. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, I'm following your lead, brother. So keep doing your
Ramon was on point that night. As soon as he started talking, I started clapping. I was like, "This is it right here." And I have to say too, you know, your husband spoke so highly of you.
Yeah,
that was so. I mean,
and you wasn't present.
A lot of men are not going to bow down to what the wife does, or you know how supportive she is, or anything. Most men will not do that, especially publicly. He may go home and bring some flowers. Oh, you know, you tickled my fancy today, boo. But no, he put it out there like my wife did this and my wife did this, and if it wasn't for my wife, that said a whole lot about.
Cause she gonna go to war behind him. You better understand.
That says a lot about your contribution to your household. So he holds you in high regard. You way up in the clouds. Yeah, that's what's up. I like that.
It's
that's
good
what's
to know
up.
that
energy was everything. Like, wow,
Dante and your lovely wife also are held in the highest esteem also, because Ramon speaks very highly of you too. You know, so he's also spoke how you and him had to get together to confide in each other, and you know, it's always good when you have someone, another man that you can confide in, that you know when you tell them your darkest secrets, it's not mocked amongst your peers and your co-workers, that is kept in the highest esteem, because men are just not men and they don't do honorable things today. So I don't have a lot of people that I can run to and confide in about my personal affair. I kind of keep it to myself and talk to God about it. Can y'all see this on the screen?
It's always good to have another male brother to talk to, you know, and like I say, me and Ramon have talked, you know, one-on-one with each other multiple times. You know what I'm saying? We've confided in one another, and he's given me plenty of advice, you know what I mean, that I've implemented in my marriage. You know what I'm saying? So I'm grateful that I do have somebody that I can confide in if need be.
And we go, my church, they have marriage class every other Tuesday. So we don't miss that class because not because of, it's not a counseling session, but it's just how to run your marriage pertaining to the Bible. And then that makes everything so easy. Like if you have a to-do list or a blueprint of what to do, I mean, it make it kind of easier for you to follow the plan.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Did y'all get a chance to read that? Because I didn't. Did you read it?
No, I didn't read it. It was there, but I didn't.
Yeah,
I was trying to move it.
The person that posted it were stating basically their marriage is the same way. The husband takes care of 100% of the expenses in the household, takes care of everything. Her work is just an outlet for her, and that's all that is. But she was just basically, that person was saying that their relationship is pretty much the same way as the couples that are on screen right now.
So let me ask the panel, from what we see in society, why is it not so many successful Black marriages? Why is what we're talking about, or the group of us, is not being seen? You know, they call my house the Huxtables at times, and my wife was ridiculed for staying home. You know,
me too.
A lot of family would say, when she gonna go get a job? this is before they had children, and now they're staying home. And
Oh,
so
that's a wonder. Okay.
and so early on in our marriage, she got ridiculed, and people was like, "Oh, she need to go get a job. It takes 2 incomes," and not knowing she stayed home because I wanted her to stay home.
Mhm.
I didn't want my children being raised by the school. I didn't want them being raised by the streets. I wanted them to come home and be raised by their mother. And looking back, having an 18-year-old and my youngest is 14. At their peers, none of my children none of their peers act like my children. And I give that credit to my wife, because my wife is not only their mother, she's the head when I'm not awake, when I'm gone and I'm in the streets or working or whatever, because our industry, we do a lot of hours. And so when I can't teach them, I got somebody here that's making sure that they're getting taught the right way. And I got a special kind of woman, because like I keep saying, the game that she's taught not only me, but my oldest daughter and my son and my kids, she has an out the box approach. And I had to sit back, for years. I used to argue with her and be like, "Oh, that ain't holy. You got to forgive, and you got to do this, and you got to do that." And she has a particular way of doing things, and she's real. She says what she wants, and she knows what she wants, and she's not going to waver at all on what she wants when her mind is made up, if she feels that she's right. And so I try, everybody in my house, my kids, my wife, we do a lot of debating. If you can win the argument, then that argument is valid. It doesn't stop with me per se. I'll let everybody debate. And if you can win the debate, so we have a house full of debaters.
So my house is opposite. It ain't no debating. We'll sit there and listen to what the kids got to say, but ultimately, you got to show me. You got to show me that what you talking about is making sense. And then, but it's no debate until you can do something as simple as brush your teeth without me telling you to, clean your room and wipe the piss off the toilet without. Then you could start debating. But we'll listen.
My kids are older.
Yeah, our kids are older.
Our kids are older. I got 11 and 13, and
oh yeah, mine 18.
Their kids almost grown and out the house, but our kids,
Not yet.
not yet.
Let me say this in response to you, Ramon. I think both couples, being given the age that you're at and the experience you've had in life, you have what people would like to consider old souls. You're before your time. So you've embraced a traditional way that worked in a modern day world. Other people that's not successful in their relationship has embraced this modern day ideology that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So you bringing an old tradition into modern day society, you have set the path for other people to follow. And if they don't get on board, they will continue with all this knowledge that the world is giving that doesn't work, and watch you go back to basics on things that work. And I say this all the time in my speeches that I give, that I think we all need to get back to the basics of life. Life is not complicated. We make it that way because we
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think you set that pattern, both of you have, that other people need to follow.
Ramon said he was asking the panel, how come we don't see it anymore? And I think it started probably from my generation. When the relationships start to split up and the children are not allowed to see functioning relationships, they have no way to create those relationships in their own life. So I remember being raised just by one parent. I was fortunate enough to be able to raise my kids with two parents. So they did see it. But a lot of people in my generation, the homes started to break up. That was the crack era, and parents were going this way and that way, and there was so much dysfunction that was going on in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, that kids, my era, which is the era where there's a lot of single people, they didn't get a chance to see how it's supposed to be. They didn't get a chance to ask questions. You know, there was no true dynamic in love and relationships during, you know, this last generation. People like you guys being the age that you are and so young, and I don't even know how old the other couple is, but I think me and Ramon got you guys beat too, probably by about 10, 15 years. So, you know, it's very commendable. And to expound on what Ramon was asking, it starts with home. If you don't see the relationships and you're not taught how to have relationships with people, not even just intimate relationships, but your business relationships. If you're not taught how to communicate with people, how to respect people, no matter who they are or where they come from, you're not going to understand or know how to maneuver in any relationship. If you don't see it, if you're not given an example, you very well are not going to know how to do it until you try it, and it's trial and error. And then you do what's best for you. So when you learn it on your own, because I didn't see it either, I had to figure it out. I didn't even know how to be a mom. I had to figure out how to be a mom. I had to figure out how to be feminine. My mother wasn't there. So, and I was an only child. So I was just fucked all the way around. I was raised by a man who was old school and alpha as hell. And everything that I did came from a man's perspective. You know, my dad couldn't teach me a whole lot about how to be a girl or how to be soft or how to be a woman. But what he did teach me was how to treat a man. I learned that. And from that, I still had to figure out how to be girly enough, how to be feminine enough, how to be soft enough to have a relationship with a man. And it was trial and error. It was big time trial and error, big time. So, you know, the more I think now that, like, your kids are very fortunate to see a functioning relationship. They'll pick it up without you even telling them. So what you do feed them as food for thought is a bonus to what they're already seeing. So your kids have a great start right now and how they deal with it. And you're around to say, no, that's not how you do that with people. That's not how you do that with people. And they take it with them. And ultimately, kids choose what they want to choose. But if you feed them what they need to know, what they need to hear, what they need to see, they have a grand opportunity to have very, very functioning relationships in every aspect of life. So it starts at home. Definitely starts at home.
Absolutely.
I think as far as a Ramon question, I just think marriage is not desirable to this generation because so many women they making a lot of money. They can provide for themselves. Not saying that I couldn't or Jasmine couldn't, but they want to do what they want. They don't want to live in a marriage, and they don't think anything is wrong with it, and that's their right. They got in order to be married, God has to be your center. The marriage won't work with just you two because we are all human, and you need a guiding spirit from the Lord. So if it's just me and him, we will not make it. We both have to fall to our knees and ask God to forgive us for our thoughts daily. So I just don't believe that this whole generation is just missing God, period. So marriage is not a desire for this generation because God, they lustful and they lusting after the world and not after God's heart. So this is not going to be attractive to them, and that's okay because that's their decision.
Right. Society has become so superficial, so greedy, so quick. They want a quick remedy for everything.
Right.
Everybody's mindset is, I want it quick, I want it fast, and I'm gonna do what it takes to step on this person and step on this person to get what I want and what I need.
It's like the crack era.
Yeah.
You say that again?
The music is like the crack era. It's breaking up families.
Yeah. There's a lot going on in our society right now. We don't have enough Black leaders to guide. We don't have enough Black leaders that are displaying, the types of behaviors or situations that people aren't modeling themselves in a way that other Black people want to be a part of. There isn't
Right.
enough unification within Black families, Black organizations.
Because even older Black men have walked away from God. So it's a thing. It's everything goes back to, I know you're gonna get tired of hearing me say this, but it's the foundation of everything. The things that's happening in the world, they not crazy. They already written. All of this stuff is already predetermined. People gotta get their hearts right and their minds right, or we suffer the consequences of our offspring. Because if they don't get the foundation, this is the world that we created for our kids. Not us personally, but everybody that's having kids and putting them out there and telling them that any large post you go on with 1,000 comments, somebody talking about God ain't real, don't believe this, don't believe that. It's so many people trying to fight against it when it's really the only answer.
Well, I think personally, anybody, and I can say from my experience, anybody that say that is foolish, because we know if we have that spiritual connection with whatever you want to call them, Jehovah, Allah, whatever.
You better get somebody.
I know what people in my life, and there was many situations where I shouldn't even be here talking. I'm talking about, but by the mercy and grace of God, he blessed me. So God is not a genius, so we know that.
And you know what? I'm a standout in this right now, and you made me laugh so hard. And there's a reason. Okay, so for me, and anybody can't speak for anybody else, but for me, I am not a believer of any religion. I am not a believer of your God. I'm not a believer of I don't idolize any person or anything. So when you said you better go find somebody, that made me laugh. But I'm not atheist. I was raised in Catholicism. I had baptized myself and my son at one point as Baptist, and I kind of fell away from the whole thought of just religion, and I just live my life. I'm very spiritual, but I'm not religious. I'm in tune with.
Yeah, we pulling away from religion too.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm not religious.
No, me neither. I'm.
I ain't down with religion.
Okay. I just had to put it out there.
I was getting ready to come save you, Magic.
No.
You got to be spiritual, and when you have spiritual, you learn to have a connection with you and God. God made you in His image and likeness, and God introduces Himself to each individually, separately, and so how you have that relationship and how you guys communicate is important. But I always say that was the foundation. That was how that was my compass. And so because I started out with that, that's how I run, and that's how I've made it this far, because that was the guiding light for me,
Yeah, I can completely respect it. I have no, I don't judge. I have no qualms, and everybody does what works best for them. For me, I got away from the whole religion of everything because it became too
overwhelming.
Yeah, it was just too much. Too much. Yeah. So, I'm very spiritual. I'm very in tune and in touch with me. And I just live life day to day. I live life day to day. I have no complaints. I'm very content in what life is. I have experienced great relationships in different aspects of life. And I'm still learning, I'm still learning every day, about life and how to maneuver. Now I'm in a different chapter in life without my life partner. So things for me come a lot of, they come in, I see a lot of different things and I experience a lot of different things in life as a widow, but I still feel in touch with my husband. Because when I make a lot of choices and when I do a lot of things, I'm like, ooh, I wonder what he would have to say about that. Or I wonder if that would be okay in his eyes. I still sometimes feel that little tap on my shoulder, and he's like, don't you go get them red bottoms. I ain't playing with you. Still can't have them. Even though I'm not here, you still can't. And it's a joke with one of my friends. There were so many things I would tell my husband I wanted. And he'd be like, man, I better not come in here and see. Back in the, I would want really crazy things and be like, why I can't have it? But it was it would be something unrealistic that I really wanted, but I knew damn well it wasn't worth having, or I wasn't gonna go out of my way to get it, and it'd be a joke. And my husband would call from work and, if I come home and you got that $10,000 refrigerator sitting in the house, I'm leaving. It'd be, stuff like that. Yeah. But sometimes now, and I'm like, because he left me comfortable, and I'm still at a state where I don't have to go to work and I don't have to do anything extra to still maintain. So when I do think about, okay, I'm ready to go buy a new car, or I'm ready to go buy a new motorcycle or something, and, I hear that little voice in the back of my head to, you bet not. Our connection was so strong that I missed that, and I don't
hear about a light
letting it happen again, or that it will even happen again. If I run into another man who is as satisfying as he was, that's a bonus for me. But for right now, I have to live. I live in a way that is a little more free, but I can respect completely what you guys have. And if I were to ever do it again, I wouldn't do it any other way other than that same model that you guys have set. So again, I commend you guys for that, because you just don't see it. Not too many men think the same way, and to have two people on screen that think the same way, two couples that think the same way, and their foundations are similar, they're parallel. I really, really, really commend that. And you're going to be on my mind forever. I will always remember and know that name, Ramon. If I ever come to Vegas, I'm going to come find you and your wife.
All right.
Hopefully they cook it.
The way you put that woman on the pedestal, you deserve that pat on the back. Absolutely.
Thank you.
And as I said, I extend this courtesy to you, Ramon, you, your wife, and what's your name, ma'am?
Jasmine.
No.
Coretta
and Dante.
And I extend that to you and your husband, Dante, too. If you ever want to do a show based on relationships, marriages, or family, whatever you want to come up with, just get with me in advance, and I'll give you the password, and you can run this same podcast from your house.
Okay.
He funny. I'm just telling you right now. He funny.
Yeah, and I don't extend that to anybody, but because this podcast is based upon relationships, bridging the gap. A lot of people try to get me to change the name for various reasons. I've had a lot of family members and so-called friends. Well, no, you shouldn't do that. You can't bring resolve to this. You can't bring resolve to that. And the way this podcast started off, I started off by myself, as you remember, Magic, and I didn't have any guests on the show. So basically, when you do a show based on other people's lifestyles, you become similar, or people put you in the category as Kevin Samuels. And not to compare myself to Kevin Samuels by any means, but I made it perfectly clear when I started this podcast, I would not use this platform to degrade or belittle anybody, particularly women. Now I have my opinions, and when I give them, they're based on my experience and my relationship with particular women, not as women as a whole. I've also got complaints about generalizing, but you can't be specific about everything you talk about. Therefore, you're throwing people under the bus. So you have to generalize. But so with that being said, I think I found my niche with you two, and this is what I'm going to push forward on. So, hey,
I'm
Y'all
gonna
gonna
just
pay
say
it
this.
later.
I'm gonna just keep it real. Ever since Ramon came on the show, Ramon just did a 360. I'm just going to keep it real.
You know, man, I've never, and I haven't told you this, Ramon, but I'm gonna say this because this is being recorded. I'm gonna say this because I think this is something that everybody on this podcast should hear, and people that don't really know me in the workplace that's watching this. You know, I've never been influenced by any man in my life other than my father, and he passed when I was 7 years old. So the man that I became is through all the hardships that I had to endure in life. And you know, I'm not gonna put this all out there, but you know, I made some bad choices and there was some dire consequences.
Yeah, we talk.
Yeah, so I know I haven't met Dante, but if he's anything like you, I know I'm gonna embrace him just the way I embrace you. You know, and you know, and I don't embrace men often. You know, I'm not a very trusting person, and I have every reason not to be. But when you have people that talk with a purity, you know, there's no hidden agendas. You know, I'm talking about your deliverance is so unadulterated that people, when they hear you talk, it's almost like that commercial E.F. Hutton. I've seen you talk on the show floor, and when you talk, people stop and they be like, and I'm like, man, I thought I had influence over people, but you know, I'm amazed by you, brother. I'm thankful that you're a friend of mine. I thank you for coming on this podcast. You, your lovely wife, the beautiful couple up top, Magic, for helping make this thing, and Alonda, you know, she's saying something.
Oh, she said you softened up.
Yep, she agreed with what I said. You softened up. Ever since Ramon made that debut, I was like, oh my God, what is man being?
I have to really say, and I cannot give. My wife is such a phenomenal woman that I'm not gonna say, I gotta say, yeah, she broke a stigma, because when we got young, I was 19 and 16, and I used to say, oh, I get them young so I can teach them. And she made me eat them words. She ended up teaching me, you know, and so I am partially the man that I am because I've had a woman for 20 years that has always held me to the most high standards and always made me hold my words. Like I said a few shows ago, I be quiet a lot because if I tell them something, they expect me to do what I say, and they'll use that against me. So all credit to the Most High God, and all credit to my wife.
All right, she looking like she want a new baby the way she rocking that dog.
Oh no, this is our baby. Oh no, I'm done. No. My baby about to be 18 in 4 years.
Okay, that's okay. I got a set that's 22 years apart. It's all right. You can do it.
No, I don't want to do it.
We got to get back to
I don't want to be pregnant and barefooted. That ain't the move, baby.
What kind of dog is that?
A cockapoo.
Oh, okay.
Say hi, Nyla. Say what's up.
No, I don't want no more babies.
Boy or girl?
Here, girl.
Oh, okay.
Well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna continue this plight, and I hope that both couples will continue to support, because you know, a lot of times people take on endeavors by themselves and they don't have the support that's needed, and they kind of fumble and stumble. And I think I made those mistakes with this podcast from the beginning, but I think now with you people coming on board, I think, you know, it's success in the future. This, you know, I'm gonna claim it through my belief. You know, I'm gonna claim it with your assistance. And like I said, I'm still the same person, but you know, I've always been the type of person to embrace anything that's real. You know, some people call it real. I call it just being valid, you know, and the things that you say, man, the things that you have said. And I'm gonna put you kind of on a pedestal, and I've never done that with any man in my life, you know. And it's not that I'm treating you as a god. I'm treating you with respect as a man, as a younger man, because you've taught me so much as an older man.
Yes.
And you know, when you get older, they say Magic always tells me this, Vermont, you're set in your ways. You're set in your ways. But no, I'm really a sponge, man. And until I find my niche, I kind of surround myself with people that can help me grow and become a better person. And I found that with you people. And I thank you for that.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, you guys keep doing what you're doing. I wish you guys all the luck. Working on, for me, I always say a true relationship shouldn't be hard. It starts off hard, but once you get your tools and your resources together, you have an understanding between one another. Of course, there's going to be hurdles, but a relationship, once it's solid, should not be hard. It absolutely should not be hard. It should flow. That means you're in tune with one another. That means you really like each other. You really care about each other. You really love. You are in love. You are enmeshed with one another. When it's at that point, it should not be hard. Of course, the first few years, it's going to be hard. You still don't know that person the best way that you should know them in order for it to work. But when you are in a solid relationship and you understand and take the time to understand and know one another, it should not be hard.
And not only just when you're in a relationship, you can't lose yourself. So you still have to keep a piece of you, because you don't want to become you two people in one relationship, but you're not one person.
You sound like
I think
Jasmine.
that's important.
Yeah.
I think that's very important. My
I
husband be
think
like,
you sound
"Nah."
like Jasmine now.
My husband like, "Nah, we won." I'm like, "Yeah,
That's what I say. We won.
But I'm my own individual.
right." I'm an individual, so especially with Ramon and Jasmine, because they basically grew up together. I was already a woman when Hawthorne met me. He just kind of taught me how to be a wife correctly, because he was able to be a husband correctly. So then I was able to be a wife. My ex-husband, I was not. So I didn't know. I was just a woman and I was married, but I was not a wife. Okay. So, but with that being said, it's very important to have your own personal time, because if not, you will definitely lose yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because as women, you take on a lot of everybody in the house problems. You busy worried about your husband, your kids. You come last on the plate, from fixing the plate to do everything. So you have to make sure you find something that you like. Not
I'm
people
there right
that you
now.
like.
I believe that is I think that's unique to women. Go ahead, Hawthorne.
I said, and that's the reason why if she asks me for the moon, I'm gonna give it to her.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think that's unique in marriages to women. That women do tend to lose themselves. Men, we are set in our ways. We are providers. A real man is a provider. He's a protector. And when we're able to walk in that, we float on cloud nine when we come in and we do. I know Hawthorne is floating on cloud nine. Not only is he able to give his wife a second marriage right now, renew their vows, he just bought her a second house. And so, and when I found out, I called him and congratulated him. He was giggly like he was 3 years old. But as a man, if a man is able to walk in his anointing and calling and be that man for his household and that covering, there's no better high, there's no better drug, there's no better anything better than that. It's better than sex.
Yeah.
And so being able to provide, and a woman allowing the man to provide but have respect for the man is so important. Most women want a man to provide. They want them to have sex with him. They want them to do all those things, but they lose the aspect of respect. And then some women are not able to be in both. Like I said the other day, they're masculine and feminine. I think that our women, for me as a man, I want a woman to be able to operate in both, because at times I need somebody when I'm tired to be strong. And so when God says I'm giving you a helpmeet, he's never going to give you somebody that is weaker than you. So he gives you somebody that is equally matched with you, and to become one with someone, every way that I can buck, she can buck. But the gift that God has given me, God says that when a man finds a wife, he finds favor, and he finds favor of God. And I believe that if I operate outside of the commandment of God, then my favor goes. And so I have to, my guidance is God says, do A, B, and C. And because I've been doing A, B, and C, now I've got some things wrong across the years,
Absolutely.
but God always corrects me. And I think that my household has the favor that it has because I operate inside of those parameters. And I think that if anybody can operate in some of those parameters, now I can't say some, if you can operate in those parameters, you can have a successful and long-lasting marriage. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think every day is supposed to be problem free because that's not what they say. That's not what the vows say. I think the biggest thing is the aha moment when you both realize, like, yeah, yeah, this is. I mean, and then if you can move past that, then that's like,
Yeah.
that's what it is. Like, it's not the fight is in itself. It's like, okay, Hawthorne gonna come back here. All right, you've been mad too long. We need to fix this. I got stuff going on. I need you to do this.
Yeah.
Because I used to not talk. Nope. But that's the only thing that really piss him off. Because if I don't talk to him, he losing his mind because I control everything. Like,
at that point.
you know what I'm saying? I'm not helping him. He like, oh no, you know what? All right, that's enough. Like, all right, you can prove your point. What you want?
Yeah.
All I be wanting is for him to hear my side, whether he agree or not. Just sit down and sing in your head. Just act like you listening to me.
Yeah.
Now you listen. We had to get there.
Yeah.
Ramon working on it. Ramon working on it.
Yeah, for an alpha male to be able to bring it down a few notches for his woman, that's a good man.
It's
He
an act of
did.
God.
I have to get all in front of him and look up and pull him down. Be like, listen.
That's a good man. All right.
Well, let me say this.
Guys, I really, really do.
My dad is a good man.
Yeah.
Someone asked me to say hello to everybody.
Hello.
Kawanda, who's the co-host that hasn't been on the show for a while. So Alonda and Magic have just gracefully filled in for her because of her work schedule, and I'm thankful for that. We're gonna bring this to a close. We've been over an hour, and I don't mind. We went almost 2 hours last night. But I want to thank everybody for attending. 3 alpha males in a show. This is what she said, Alonda. Dante, you and your wife, thank you.
Thank you
for having us.
And I commend you, man. And my prayers go out to you. Continued success in your relationships and all your endeavors in life. Ramon, you know you my boy, man. You know you've been from day one. I'm happy to finally meet your lovely wife. You know, thank you for attending, and I hope you can continue to help build this family that I'm trying to create. You, Magic, it goes without words. You're you're my Bonnie. And then I got to say something to my sister Alonda, who's watching. Alonda promotes this show when nobody knows. She's texting people, sending out stuff, and Magic does the same thing. So with that being said, we're going to build this up, and I extend that courtesy to each and every one of you. If you ever want to use the podcast to promote anything that's in reference to you or your family or conducive to you and your family, you're more than welcome to it. I thank you. God bless you. Everybody be safe. And until next time, we'll be on tomorrow. I don't know what the topic is. You know, I got to pray about it, before I put it on. But if you have anything, please share it with me during the day, and then we'll put it on.
All right,
Okay.
good night, you guys. It was nice meeting you. I
Let
hope
me
to
say
see you
this.
all
Nice to meet
again.
you too.
Let me just say this one thing before we get off the air. I was telling my wife about Magic. Magic, for you to be a widow, in the last two times I've came in, you sound and act just like a woman who is married, and you sound like the two of them. That one. So, so I had to say that. I was talking to her in the car today. I said, "Yeah, you got to see Magic. She is funny."
Oh yeah, I love to have a good time. I love to have a good time, and
Before
whatever
we
I can
close,
bring to a platform, I am here for it. I'm here
let's
for it.
let's start this today. Okay, every guest that's on, we're gonna do in closing. We're gonna do words of encouragement. So let's have your lovely wife first, Ramon. Then we'll go to each one of the ladies. Then we'll go to Dante, you, and then we'll close out.
Go, Coretta. I'm thinking. Wait, let me give y'all a disclaimer. I'm not used to all this. I really don't do social media. I don't do all this. So I'm becoming comfortable. So, I'm just letting y'all know that now.
Come as you are, girl. Do your thing.
Okay,
Yeah, we gonna love you. Okay, Coretta.
I ain't no social media butterfly myself neither. So
Yeah.
We've been doing like a wedding Wednesday. So, anyways, I just want everybody to live, the viewers and everybody to find their true self and live their true self unapologetically, and be comfortable with that, no matter who likes it. And I would like all spouses to, if it's not hurting you or disrespecting or obeying who y'all worshiping, I think y'all should allow that. Okay? That's what I want to say.
Good message.
Yes, keep a positive mindset and just stay positive. Keep going, fight for what you want. And just be yourself.
That's right. All right.
Miss Magic.
I really don't, I spoke a little bit, during the podcast. I really don't have anything in closing other than stay true to who you are. Know who you are first before you start a relationship.
Yes.
Know who you are. Do not put that burden on somebody else to try to figure it out.
I would say,
Mr. Hawthorne.
I would say make sure you are healed from past relationships before you jump into another relationship. Make sure you're totally healed from. Get off me, woman.
Ramon?
Words of encouragement. I think that be true. Number one, to yourself. Walk in integrity. Just love. I think love is everything is summed up in love. So if you truly love and know what you want, I don't think you can go wrong. So continue to love, listen, and be contented.
There it is. Sounds good. Everybody have a good night. Thank you again, Ramon, for the invitation. Whatever show I'll try to be on tomorrow. I'm trying to crash some stuff in. My birthday is on Friday, and my master's program will be complete on Friday. So
congratulations.
Thank you. I'm gonna try to make it work.
Okay, with that being said, again, I want to thank each and every one of you.
You didn't say nothing, Ramon.
I'm supposed to say something.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. All right.
You each and every one of you have been truly a blessing to me, and I from the depths of my heart, I thank you. I really do. All of those of you that's listening, that may listen to this podcast at a later date, please understand, between these two couples, you have almost 40 years of experience. I'm talking about true, validated, profound love. Whatever they've been through, they found it. They are the examples for us to follow. I say us, including myself. And I wish each and every one of you the blessings that God has put upon you in your hearts. And as you move forward in life, I ask that everything that before you be moved, that your pathway be straight and smooth. With that being said, God bless each and every one of you. We're going to bring this to a close. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart. I love each and every one of you, and I hope that you can be a guest again.
All right.
Good
All
night.
right. You guys have a blessed and beautiful night.
You too.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.
All right.